Uh-oh.
I say.
Hey, Sashay. I'm gonna let you have the floor. I'm listening. And I look forward to your presentation. You have the floor.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Um, before anything, man, before we even get into the presentation, man, big shout out to the Ring of Fire for even hosting this, allowing me to come through, get a presentation, man. Big ups, big ups. Like and subscribe. I say sign at the studio, House of Consciousness, Rhetoric Frontier. Like and subscribe to the Rhetoric Frontier. Always be able to join me personally at the Rhetoric Frontier. Um, today we finna have us a decent build. We gonna have a great build. Y'all know how I say do it. When I say come, you come correct. Now we gonna go in on theosophy, occultism, who Madame Blavatsky was, how these things trickle into our community. When I say our community, I mean black people as a whole, right? And and we just go explore these things. This is not an attack. This is not a conspiracy theory breakdown. This is dealing with facts, historical events, and direct influence. So with no further ado, if y'all will share the screen, I got the presentation down there. We will share the screen, get the presentation on the screen, and I'll rock this thing, man. I'm ready whenever. Soon as the presentation up, I'll begin. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Let's rock this thing. Theosophy explained. Let me calm down over here real quick, people. Sorry. All right. Theosophy explained by the Brother Bomb Squad. I say was Sir. First off, let's get into the origins of the inventors. From the Greek theos, meaning God, of course, and the Greek word Sophia, which is wisdom, we find this term theosophy. It presents itself as a revival of an ancient universal divine, quote unquote, divine wisdom, founded in New York in 1875 by Helena P. Blavatsky, Henry Steele Occult, and others. On the right, we see Madame P. Blavatsky and Colonel Occult. Origins, page 2. Theosophy arose in a period marked by spiritualism, like seances and mediumship, Western occult revival as in Hermeticism, combined with growing Western interest in Hinduism and Buddhism. Blavatsky claimed access to advanced spiritual adepts called Mahatmas, or masters, especially Mahatma Morta, or El Moria, and Kutumi. These are the individuals you see right here. On the left, you see El Moria, who looks more like a Jesus figure. And on the right, we see Kutumi, or just page 3. New York at this time was not as famous as Washington. Washington actually was an Astoria state in the United States at this time. There wasn't no skyscrapers. You didn't have the industrialized New York that we look at and that we marvel at today. No, New York was just a town of Yankees and performing mystics, seance performing mystics at that. So we're talking about individuals who on the streets, they got their booth set up, and they telling you, oh, they can read your mind. They can probably read your palm, or you can get down with them and you can initiate in the seance and probably get some type of energy going. But all this stuff was for sale. All this stuff in New York at this time was for sale. You had to have a gimmick in New York. You had to have a hustle. Blavatsky was the principal doctrinal architect. Occult handled the organization and expansion. The society relocated its headquarters to Adyar, India in 1882, symbolically aligning the movement with the South Asian religious tradition. Why India, some may ask. The school system consistently doubled down on the primordial, quote unquote, wisdom religion. And they said it was preserved in the East idea. In India, in Tibet, were the respiratories of ancient esoteric knowledge. This is what they believed. So relocating to India reinforced that narrative physically. It placed the movement at a supposed geographical source of its claimed wisdom tradition. Also, it's the 19th century where the Sanskrit texts are being translated in the European language. Before that, in the 1800s, 1700s, when you had the compilation of your Bible, translation of your Bible, and even Ugaritic text, things of that nature, and even Sumerian texts, you don't have the Sanskrit being translated into these European languages. Thus, Western scholars are then being fascinated by the Vedas and the Upanishads. By moving to India, Theosophy gained direct engagement with the Hindu reformers, and they got distance from being seen as merely an American occult sect. Let's go. Who are Kuhumi and Mahatma Maurya? These figures allegedly resided in Tibet or the Himalayas and transmitted occult doctrine via precipitated letters, which they called the Mahatma letters. Though there is no verified proof of the masters, the Mahatma letters compiled in 1923, though supposed written anywhere in 1880, 1884, they speak on a cyclic evolutionary cosmology using Darwinian language, spiritual ascendant attachments, showing a model of from plants to animals to humans and to eventually superhumans. Blending Darwin evolution language combined with the essential form of spirituality is purely a theosophical invention. So when you hear brothers that get to talking, you know, yeah, and in the ancient days, we were these type of beings, and they give you these whole stories, and then they tell you we somehow evolved into a advanced type of race, and there's an advanced race of black people out there. All that's theosophical ideology being regurgitated and reformed. Let's keep going. What are the Muhammad letters? The letters describe humans as composed of rupa, which is the body, prana, which is vitality, linga sharira, which is with an astral double, and kama, the desire principle, manas, which is the mind, buddhi, which is spiritual intuition, and atma, a divine essence. This is the original template for your 7 chakra system and its connection to the quote-unquote astral body, a theosophical invention as well. So whenever they tell you, oh, I was having an astral projection, I'm trying to feed my astral body, I'm trying to catch up with the astral self, all that, they got that from Madame P. Blavatsky. They didn't get that from the quote-unquote master teacher. The letters also cover a master class of adepts, they say, a hidden brotherhood, if you will. And these masters are guiding human evolution. This is your original ascended master idea. This is heavily rooted in the UFA-based codes that we go touch on later, and religions and many new age ideologies surrounding adepthood and secret knowledge. Individuals like a noble Drew Ali, for example, and those surrounding him said they went under the gauze when they were put in a paper Egyptian adepts. Noble Drew Ali, an adept from Egypt, taught by sacred masters. This is what they said. Mahatma letters, final. The esoteric knowledge. The Mahatma letters claim true knowledge comes from occult initiation. Modern science sees only surface phenomena, and esoteric science trump mainstream science. They frame theosophy as a higher synthesis of religion and science. On the right, we see the Adept Initiate's Guide to the Luxor Temple. These are the things that the brother Noble Drew Ali said that he went through. The Adept Initiate's Guide to the Luxor Temple. Let's keep on going. Isis Unveiled. H.P. Blavatsky's, some of her greatest works, they say. Her most notable works, let me say. Isis Unveiled. You hear this a lot in the Black conscious community. Published in 1877. She had 2 volumes. She had volume 1, Science, where she was attacking science, and then she had volume 2, where she was laying out what she believed was true theology. Blavatsky critiqued Christianity, arguing Christianity borrowed from old mystery systems. She went on to say the very Christian dogma corrupted the original esoteric truth, and the church institution suppressed the occult wisdom. She showed parallels between Gnosticism, Egyptian spirituality, Hinduism, and Greek mystery systems, plainly stating Christianity is a derivative, not a unique creation. So that's why when I hear certain brothers in certain rooms and they say, man, you know, they got the Bible from ancient Egypt, man, that's all Egyptian stories. But when you ask them for the primary source, they can't give you the biblical Egyptian stories themselves. This let me know that they're doing those parallels, those what I like to call phantom parallels, or for this build, theosophical parallels. She also attacked 19th century scientific reductionism, pushing the idea that consciousness is fundamental and matter is secondary. pointing out also her issue with science's dismissal of the spiritual phenomena. She went on to say that mesmeric trances reveal hidden faculties of the consciousness, pointing out subjects under magnetism could display clairvoyance. Example she gave were mesmeric patients diagnosing their own illness in trance and somnambulistic states producing altered personality or knowledge like sleepwalking. Mesmerism evolves into hypnosis. Franz, the founder, this is where we get the coining of the word of the term from. Franz Anton Mesmer in the 18th century. He proposed a universal fluid called animal magnetism that could affect health and consciousness. Mesmer's techniques involve using magnets, waving his hands over patients, and placing them in trance-like states, which became known as mesmerism. Hence where we get the word mesmerized from. He believed an invisible fluid in the body could be manipulated to also cure diseases. Her central claim was all religions stemmed from a primordial esoteric doctrine. She claimed this doctrine was preserved in secret initiatory schools and only fragmented in the exoteric religions. Only fragmented. So you didn't get the whole thing. They was giving you fragments, like a book of Enoch or a lot of other things that you see the Sethian Gnostics hold on to. So you have fragments in it. She claimed these Tibetan Himalayan adepts were the guards of this secret knowledge. On the right, we see it right here. This is Saint Germain. On the far right, Kud Humi on the left, El Moria always with the head wrap. We don't know the origins of this image. The Secret Doctrine, 1888. Once again, a two-part work. The first was Cosmogenesis and Anthropogenesis. Blavatsky claimed that the entire system was ran by three forces. One was the absolute and eternal, boundless, immutable principle, beyond being and non-being, impersonal and ineffable. She rejects the idea of a personal creator God, an anthropomorphic deity. She wasn't rocking with it. This is plainly the Neoplatonic one idea that all existence comes from one source. This is what she held on to. So this is sounding a lot more like Gnosticism to me. Secret Doctrine. The universal cyclic law. She says everything unfolds in cycles. I hear that also a lot now in the New Age spirituality. You're going to hear that a lot, that everything is cyclic, that everything comes in cycles, that nothing is linear. These are the teachings that they have. She says everything unfolds in cycles, starting with the universes to races, to civilizations, then to souls. Drawing on the Hindu influence going in on creation, not being linear, stating it is a periodic manifestation followed by dissolution. So now you're dealing with like the Hindus, they deal with the wheels and you see the locals, everything's like in the circular cyclic type of motion. You don't see that linear straight line thing. She recognized the existence of the individual soul being controlled by an oversoul, she says, like in collective conscious. She claimed every individual conscious was a ray of the absolute on a long evolutionary journey destined for spiritual self-realization. So you hear brothers, they say things like, we need to develop a hive mind. The one is the illusion. No, the many is the illusion. The reality is the one. So we see this thought. Or they say, man, the collective consciousness. So we go on, man, with the seven plane reality. This is literally a theosophical creation. And you got the one is the divine, two is the spiritual, three is the intellectual, four is the psychic, five is the astral, six is the etheric, and then seven is the physical on the right. Look how they lay it out. This is what they give you. The whole chakra system, from the rooter all the way up to the crown chakra. Ain't that what they say? I'm trying to unlock my crown chakra, man. I'm trying to do this and that so I can get to the solar plexus chakra. Oh, that's not even in the Vedas. That's not even in the Upanishad. This is what she's coming with. And she created the color system for you. She set that up for you. Let's go into her anthropogenesis. If you know what anthropos means, you know we're talking about human beings. So she argues for a polygenesis, if you will. This deals with human evolution. She introduces root race theory. That's familiar. I've heard that in Nation Islam circles. You have several videos where brother Louis Farrakhan, he says that the original man, He had long, straight black hair. The hair on his head was the same texture as that on his eyebrows, jet black. Speaking of like a primordial type of being. And he said that we are like a devolved or dissolved version of that. So they giving us the same thing, but they just giving us a blackity black. So she introduces root race theory, featuring the 7 evolutionary stages of humanity. She says first there was the Polarian, which is an ethereal. A 2, she goes into the Hyperborean. 3, she features the Lemurians. Now, I've heard like several different theory on the Lemurians. He's supposed to be some type of aquatic race, almost like Atlantean, where they're living in the water and they're part man, part fish. Like that, it get crazy in those circles. But we hear those in the circles with my brother Rod Hayes and a lot of my other brothers in the Black conscious community. So 4, we get the Atlantean. And then we get the Aryan. At this time, of course, a lot of HP's thoughts are reflecting the thoughts and ideology of her time. So there was a lot of racism floating around. There almost was not a thought of you don't even see nowhere for the black men because they dealing with the Aryan, and you see where they coming from as well. And then 6 and the 7 were supposed to be a future spiritual race. Keep on going. To her critique. Blavatsky critiqued 19th century science, stating modern science sees only phenomena, while occult science sees nomina, an object within itself. And most speculated of all claims was that ancient initiates held and preserved this knowledge. She said theosophy was a restoration of hidden knowledge suppressed by materialism. Her book, Secret Doctrine, Part 1 and Part 2 on the right. The keys to theosophy, one of her last works. To form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color. This is the core message in the keys to theosophy. Sound pretty peaceful. Sacred doctrine and world teacher idea and the office concept. I heard that a lot also. We got Holy Ghostess. We have comforters. We have Christ figures, messiahs. We have a lot of these offices that are being held down by these seem to be very temporary people because they die or they get locked up and they do all of these crazy things, but they're not permanent. But let's keep on going. Blavatsky hints that certain spiritual roles are offices, not personality, stating that there is a Buddha principle, there is a Christ principle, and there is a world teacher function. But these are cosmic positions in the occult hierarchy, not unique divine incarnations. So you wasn't born to Christ. You wasn't born to Buddha. You wasn't born the Holy Ghost. You just holding that down for the time being. And when you done, somebody go replace you. You're only holding it down. You're only an office sitter. So she says, she reframes Christ as a principle, not Jesus exclusively. Buddha as an office, not Gautama and avatars. And avatars is periodic manifestations of cosmic intelligence. So she also had the whole, you gonna be able to escape this body. This is temporary. This is where you get a lot of that talking as well. See you on the right. This is where you get your Christ consciousness. I'm trying to achieve Christ consciousness. I'm trying to achieve Christ consciousness. If I align all of my chakras, if I do this, if I unlock my kundalini and I have a kundalini rising, I can achieve Christ consciousness. This is what we hear in our Black conscious community. I'm not lying. So going to some theosophy members and inspired people, starting off with J. Krishnamurti. In 1909, at the Theosophical headquarters in Adyar, India, C.W. Leadbeater, or Charles Webster Leadbeater, a proclaimed aura reader, or a clairvoyant, if you would, who would also lay heavy development into later esoteric hierarchy system, claimed he saw an extraordinary aura around a frail young boy on the beach. That boy was Jiddu Krishnamurti. J. Krishnamurti paged him. Leadbeater declared him to be the future vehicle of the coming world teacher, a messianic figure Theosophists have been expecting since the age of and the creation of Theosophy. At the time, the president of the Theosophical Society was Annie Besant, who you see right there on the right of J. Krishnamurti. the world leader. After Helena Petrovna Blavatsky died, later leaders, especially Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater, developed a new doctrine, the World Teacher Project. They believe great spiritual beings like uh, Maitreya or Christ consciousness would soon manifest. This being would use a human vehicle, quote unquote. In 1909, Leadbeater identified a young Krishnamurti in India as that vehicle. To prepare the world, they began to gather followers, prepare humanity for the world teacher, and to position Krishnamurti as the central figure. This was a big thing. Krishnamurti will be educated by theosophists, separated from usual upbringings, and surrounded by not just local but global expectation of being a messianic figure. Like the world was banking on him. They was like, this the dude, this our guy. Over time, Krishnamurti began to question authority, rejecting the idea of spiritual hierarchy, ultimately doubting the organized belief system that raised him. He underwent intense personal, psychological, and mystical experience, often called the quote-unquote process, which shaped his independent thinking. In 1929, in the Netherlands, Krishnamurti dissolved the Order of the Star, which was created solely around him. His famous statement made that day was, the truth is a path. The truth is a pathless land. Ultimately, he stated and denied the need for gurus, the authority of masters, and spiritual ranking system. This crippled the theosophical ideology because he also denied being the Messiah. And this chosen vehicle he was claiming to be, he said he was not. Right there, this moment right here, bottom right, they were gathered for him to announce that he's the world teacher. Like people were there, news was there, everybody who was important, they were there to hear his announcement. And he got there and he shocked the world when he said that he's not that none of that he believed in. He goes on even to this day. I think he's still alive. And he's like a very inspirational guy. He speaks about just having like independent free thinking, not falling victim to religions and cults and things of that nature. Like he's a big advocate for that. Theosophical ideas explained and the teachers of it secretly. Key theosophical doctrines. Let's look at them. We already kind of went over them, but we go back over them because we finna get into the meat of this build. Key theosophical doctrines. So we get the root race theory with the Atlanteans and the Lemurians, spiritual evolution of humanity. So you go through the age of Pisces and the age of this and the age of Aquarius and the conscious evolving, they say. You got the hidden masters. So you got these guys, these sacred adepts, these advanced beings who guide humanity. You got the ancient global hidden wisdom tradition, subtle bodies and astral planes, karma and reincarnation as a cosmic law, lost advanced civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria, right? And you have initiation in higher consciousness stages. When these ideas appear together in a structured system, that's typically theosophical lineage. Keep on going. Right here, we got together a occult web from Blavatsky all the way to the 20th century counterculture. We go break down everybody here, probably not everybody here, but all the key figures here. So we started this whole build off of who? HP, sitting at the top. It all started with the woman. Usually it always does. Directly from there, if you follow the blue line over to the right where I got my mouse at, we go see Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater. We see these are the successors and the creators of the Order of the Star. Then you get Jiddu Krishnamurti over here with the organized teacher and the mindfulness, all of this. On the other side, who you have who's directly involved with her is S.L. McGregor Mathers and Aleister Crowley, who subscribed to theosophy, who subscribed and listened to the doctrines of Helena P. Blavatsky. They come together. He creates the Ordos Templi Orientis, which we'll speak about. And then you have McGregor's, who is going to set up the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. On the left, we have W.B. Yeats. So we're going to see this going to get into the art. From that art, like this is poetry and fiction, like weird fiction, if you would. Weird fiction also involves like what's my man name? He in here, Lovecraft. You get what I'm saying? That type of weird fiction. And then we'll also get into L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parson, you know, and all of that. On the other side of things, we got the Church of Satan, of course, which is going to have its direct relations to Aleister Crowley, Kenneth Anger, big filmmaker. He's a Thelemite filmmaker. When I say Thelemite, that means that he's following the doctrine of Aleister Crowley, the great B666 Thelema. So Kenneth Anger, he's the guy who's going to be responsible for your scary movies, all your fast-paced music in the movie, the quick turns, the jump scares. That's Kenneth Anger. But we gonna break this all down. Also, we're gonna get into the music. We have the Beatles here, David Bowie. We're gonna go into Mick Jagger a little bit, and I got some. Of course, we cannot leave out the brothers because this is also how this gets into our community. So let's get into it. Bobby Hemmett, Brother Hemmett, focused and spoke on ideas like pineal gland activation, higher dimensions, ancient advanced civilizations, melanin as a spiritual technology, and hidden knowledge is suppressed by elites. This is theosophy. This is theosophy, just rebranded in Afrocentrism. Look at the brother. And you see him right there. He dressed up like a mesmerizer. What is a mesmerizer? We already talked about it. That's your modern day magician. Anybody trying to put a trick on you, trying to psych you out. He's dressed in it. This is all a cult. Keep going. Malachi Z. York, quote unquote master teacher. Dr. York created a highly syncretic system, including ancient astronauts, extraterrestrial origins, Egyptology, and UFO theology. York presents the same idea of secret teachers being from planet Risk, similar to Blavatsky's idea of secret Tibetan masters. York goes in on different human being origins, advanced ancient beings, and civilization cycles that align directly with the theosophical root race doctrine. Facts. You see it right here on the right. What race was Jesus? Keep on going. Another one, key figure, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma, that term popped up again. Mahatma Gandhi did have early contact with the Theosophical Society while studying law in London. Theosophists introduced him to texts like the Bhagavad Gita, which became central to his thinking. Theosophy often promotes a universalist blending of religions and hidden wisdom traditions, which you can see in how Gandhi was encouraged to reinterpret Hindu texts through a more global spiritual lens. His South African period in 1983. Gandhi's own writing from his time showed clear prejudice and racism. He referred to Black Africans in derogatory terms, common in colonial language such as savages. He argued that the Indians were more quote-unquote civilized and should not be grouped with the Africans. He campaigned for Indian rights within the colonial system, not against the system as a whole at first. Why we bring up Mahatma Gandhi? Because he was a theosophist. He studied theosophy. And we also see brothers like Martin Luther King referencing Mahatma Gandhi's quote-unquote peace movement when it came down to the civil rights movement. Gandhi page 2. Gandhi took a vow of celibacy. It's called a brahmacharya in 1906. Later, he began what he called quote-unquote experiments. In self-control, he slept in the same bed with young women, including his grandniece, Manu Gandhi. Sometimes they slept unclothed. He framed this as a test of his ability to remain sexually pure. Even without evidence of sexual activity, there are serious issues like power imbalance. He was revered as a leader. The women were followers or dependents. Also, the question of actual consent of these women has always been long speculated. Here you see Mahatma Gandhi with the women who were at his disposal. That's crazy work. Web breakdown is further web breakdown. Transition into the Western occult orders from Theosophy. The chart flows into the Golden Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, right? Which key figures like Aleister Crowley, what changed? While Theosophy focused on philosophy and mysticism, the Golden Dawn and Crowley focused more on the ritual magic and the practical occultism. Crowley then finds the Ordos Templi Orientis. This is the bridge between the 19th century mysticism and the 20th century counterculture. Rockets, spaceships, rituals, and Jack Parson and L. Ron Hubbard. Jack Parson was the founder of what became Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the JPL. It was a federally funded research and development center managed by California founded in 1936. It specializes in the robotic exploration of the solar system and the development of advanced space technologies. Parsons was a devoted follower of Aleister Crowley and his system of Thelema. Parsons didn't separate science and occultism. He believed in rocketry, a way to physically reach the stars mixed with ritual magic, a way to spiritually access higher intelligence. In his mind, both were parts of the same mission: human expansion beyond earth material and spiritual. So right here, we see this comes directly from the collected writings of Jack Parson. Thelema, Aleister Crowley system, because what is Thelema? We see Thelema here. He's a studier of it. We seen Thelema back here, right? And we see that Kenneth Anger was a Thelemite. So it's key that we understand what Thelema is. Crowley system, Thelema, taught contact with higher beings like holy guardian angels and evolution into a higher form of humanity. The idea of hidden advanced beings guiding humanity traces back strongly to the Theosophical Society. Parsons inherits this idea but reframes it in a more ritual, magical way. This mirrors the ideas brought by brothers like Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic, rest in peace, with ideas like achieving the quote-unquote diamond body or achieving the quote-unquote rainbow body. We see them right here. These brothers were heavy. These brothers were also Thelemites. For you see right here, Brother Panic in the middle, rest in peace, his soul, with the pentagram behind him. You see that same pentagram on the book Thelema right here on the right with Aleister Crowley sitting in that same position that we see Whoopi Goldberg sits in the color purple. And then I apologize. And then of course we have Bobby Hemmett's teacher, who is Brother Panic's teacher, who is the late Bobby Hemmett, rest in peace, him as well. All these men are connected directly. And these are the brothers who we see teaching within the Black conscious community. Bobby Hemmett is deemed as a master teacher. L. Ron Hubbard. Hubbard shows up in Parsons' life in the mid-1940s. At that time, he was not yet the founder of Scientology. He got involved in Parsons' occult circle in Pasadena instead. They collaborated on rituals known as Babylon working. Now, this is deep. And this kind of scared me getting into this whole pill, because it made me think like, damn, were they really holding something? And I'm going to tell you why I thought that, but I'm going to finish this page first. They collaborated on rituals known as Babylon working. The Babylon working ritual of 1946 was to invoke a divine feminine entity, Babylon, and also manifest a new age or a new type of being. Parsons believed he was opening the gateway for transformative spiritual forces. This humanity was on the edge of, thus humanity was on the edge of a new evolutionary step. L. Ron acted as a scribe and partner to these rituals. He later distanced himself and took money from Parsons in a business dispute. But why I say I think that's kind of crazy is because, let's read it again. The Babylon working ritual in 1946 was to invoke a divine feminine entity, Babylon, and also manifest a new age or a new type of being. Parsons believed he was opening the gateway for transformative spiritual forces. When we look in 2026 and we see all this transformers, and all of these asexual type guys, like it's crazy. Did they really open it up? Because I kind of see that, but I ain't gonna spook y'all out. Let's keep on going. E.T. and spaceship occultism. This is big. After leaving Parson, L. Ron Hubbard developed Scientology, aka the Church of Scientology that we see right there on the right. Founded in 1954, Scientology is still a modern religious movement emphasizing spiritual rehabilitation through specific practices and teachings, but also include a galactic history, the idea that humans are spiritual beings trapped in physical form alongside alien civilizations, like with the Xeno narrative. See, the funny part about this was that you had individuals like Tom Cruise, Will Smith, just some notable guys. You can look it up at home, family. Just the guys who were really who paid to be members of the Church of Scientology. It was a pay-to-play type of system. So if you paid, the more you paid, the higher of rank that you got. But the funny part about it was that, and let's go back to Ron Hubbard. Look at his books, guy. These are his books. The Invader's Plan, Black Genesis, Fortune of Fear, An Alien Affair, The Enemy Within. So once you get to the top of the rankedy ranks, you pay all your good big millionaire money, big billionaire money, whoever you are. The big reveal is that the world is being ran by an intergalactic alien ruler named Xeno. And this is the image. And this is the image right here that they give you. It's crazy, right? You would think it's crazy until brothers get to talking like that. Now we got a problem. Now we got a problem when I go down the corner and I grab a final call from the Nation of Islam and they talking about a battle in the sky and I see UFO talk. I got a problem when I'm thinking that I'm going down to get a Jewish teaching or a Hebrew teaching, Israelite teaching from Yahweh being Yahweh, and he get to telling me that he can make UFOs and spaceships appear and that he has connections with black extraterrestrials. I got an issue. I got an issue when I walk up in the Nuwapian school and they telling me that Dr. York ain't really Dr. York. That ain't Dwight. He's really from a planet called Risk. And there's a Nibiru, a mother playing a ship that I can't, come on, man. All that is this, rewrapped in this all day long. And they keep giving it to you. Occult and literature like art and movies, etc., poetry. W.B. Yeats, a Nobel Peace Prize winner in literature, wasn't just influenced with a full-blown, deep-rooted initiated in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Right there, you see the symbolism right there on the left. You see they even still adopt H.P. Blavatsky's color system, like her chakra system, far as the colors. They keep that. They maintain that theosophical ideology, but they surround it with things like the lesser keys of Solomon, Goetia, Kabbalah, etc. But he back to W.B. Yeats. He was also into the ceremonial magic, astrology, spirit communication. He even conducted rituals, internal order politics. W.B. writes, W.B. Yeats, he has this book right here, A Vision. This is when he gives his understanding, like his own version of occultism and his work, A Vision. Lovecraft. Next, we have Lovecraft. Lovecraft was not an occultist. He appears on the web because of the fiction. He utilized occult themes like grimoires, forbidden knowledge systems, etc. He created texts like the Call of Cthulhu, and which is funny when I heard Cthulhu, because I had never, only other place I ever heard of Cthulhu was when Bobby Hemmett said it. He said, man, we go good, I say to the deities. You know, he was, I say Cthulhu. I say Cthulhu, what's Cthulhu? This was back in the day. Find out Cthulhu ain't no ancient being, nothing crazy. Cthulhu is a creation of Lovecraft. So this is why he appears, because his fiction got took literal by later occultists, especially black occultists. So let's break it down. He utilized occult things like grimoires, forbidden knowledge system, etc. He created texts like the Call of Cthulhu, which featured occult-like elements like the hidden codes, ancient beings, and utilizing rituals to awaken cosmic forces. You also see that in a lot of films. He also created a fake spell book called the Necronomicon. Also, fun fact, only place I ever heard Necronomicon was from Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic, right? It had some of the formulas, and it dealt with cosmic entities. Later occultists like Bobby Hemmett treated it as real or symbolic truth, which is where confusion begins. And you also see the influence just in the black community, because we also see Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country was not written by W.B. Yeats. It was written by a brother, not Jonathan Majors. It was the producer was a brother, but he was inspired and he read and he pulls on things like Cthulhu. You see Cthulhu's tentacles on wrapped around Jonathan Major in the background. He pulls on those ideas that W.B. Yeats created. Occult enters the music. The Beatles. By the 1960s, the Beatles were exploring psychedelics. Give me 1 second, family. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to get a glass of water. Mouth getting a little dry. Give me 2 seconds. Brief intermission.
Fine.
All right, I'm back at you, family. I'm back at you, family. I'm back at you. I apologize. All right, we back at it. Let's do it. Okay. Occult enters the music. The Beatles in the 1960s. By the mid 1960s, the Beatles were exploring psychedelics, especially LSD. They was exploring Eastern philosophy like Hinduism and meditation, which is all dancing in the realm of theosophy, which we've just learned. On their 1967 album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Band, they feature Aleister Crowley. On the right, you see all of these individuals. Probably hard to see them, but we went out our way and we got you the image so you could actually see him close up on the far right. So you see him right there. Aleister Crowley. Direct influence right in the music. Here we go, David Bowie, mid 1970s. During the Station to Station era, which was his album, Bowie read extensively on Aleister Crowley, Kabbalah, and Gnosticism. He was involved in ritual-like practice, symbolic occult systems, all while believing in magical influence and psychic protection. On the album Station to Station, the first track references Kabbalah and the Tree of Life and mystical ascension. He took on the thin white duke persona, an aristocratic cold semi-mystical figure in the occult, basically embodying this occult archetype. Also on his album Hunky Dory, on the song Quicksand, he directly references Aleister Crowley. So we see an image of David Bowie trying to embody the thin white duke. For those people at home, look up the thin white duke in occultism, what that symbolism is behind it, and you'll see right here his direct influence from Aleister Crowley as well. Next, because why would we be talking about these people if it has nothing to do with us? Bang. We can't help ourselves. We can't we can't just be African for some reason. We develop Afrofuturism. We have individuals like Sun Ra and George Clinton and P-Funk to blame. Not to blame, but to point to. Sun Ra, and Sun Ra comes out, man. Sun Ra is, early 1900s, man. Like, he's rocking it out before the Beatles. Sun Ra blended black spirituality with space themes and esoteric cosmology. He believed he came from Saturn. His message was that black people are cosmic beings and space is liberation beyond Earth's oppression. George Clinton P-Funk had the whole mothership mythology, mixing funk with sci-fi and cosmic symbolism. Occult in Hollywood, with individuals like Kenneth Anger, Sammy Davis Jr., and Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey in Hollywood terms was not just the founder of the Church of Satan, and which was big in California because that's where it was founded in 1966 in San Francisco. And he had to position himself as a media savvy occult figure during the counterculture era. Counterculture, that's the rebellion era. We going against everything that y'all thought was hot, you know what I mean? They was on their rebellion stuff. They bringing out Satan and the devil and this stuff that your grandma wasn't trying to hear, if you would. LaVey cultivated relationships with actors, musicians, and directors, most famously Jane Mansfield, who I'm going to show in the next slide. In the horror film Rosemary's Baby, LaVey is said to have been the technical advisor. The film reflected his satanic ritual imagery and secret elite cult theme. It appealed to Hollywood's need for the shock value, rebellion branding, and the whole aesthetic for darkness. And it's funny because Rosemary's Baby originally had a white woman in it, and it came out in the 1900s. But what we see is that they gave you a new version, and they threw the sister Zoe Saldana in it. So now Zoe Saldana is the one dealing with the demon. But that's not what I'm trying to focus on, because he had way more direct influence on the community with individuals in the black community. So let's go on forward. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was a major black entertainer connected to the elite Hollywood circles. Davis became involved with Church of Satan in the 1960s. He was even given a membership card. Right there, you see Jane Mansfield as well with Anton LaVey, where he's like some type of devil man. This, of course, is not him being serious. This is him in one of his acting roles or his producing roles when he's in theater and in cinema. Kenneth Anger, who was the most occult filmmaker. Kenneth Anger was a devotee to Aleister Crowley and a practitioner of Thelemic magic. Films like Lucifer Rising were not just symbolic. It was intentionally ritualistic cinema. Themes involved the invocation of Lucifer as the force of enlightenment, cosmic transformation, and archetypal gods and energies. Anger believed film itself could function as a magical operation. Anger influenced visual effects in Hollywood like fast cuts and symbolic layers. Also, he influenced the music video aesthetics like David Bowie and Mick Jagger. So his book, he has his book, Babylon, Hollywood Babylon. And he goes in to claim that he's exposed in the dark secrets of Hollywood. I was go get that image with you, but I wanted to make sure I was on time for the family. So that's really my rap, man. That's really my rap on just H.P. Blavatsky, her doctrine, occultism, how that trickles into the black conscious community, how we begin to regurgitate these things. Like, that's it, man. I really appreciate y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all for letting me come through, man. If y'all got any questions, then let's definitely get some questions rolling and do it how we do it.
Yeah, it's about Blavatsky because I was taking notes on her to try and prepare some questions for your presentation, but I kind of got stuck right around her Great White Brotherhood. Are you aware of her dealings with that based on her theosophy?
Great White Brotherhood and Theosophy.
Hmm.
No, I didn't break that down within the build. Would you like to go on?
Um, well, that's where I said I stopped at because I was unaware that she had anything to do with that until I was taking notes for this. Outside of that, she's been linked to the the race question that pops up in another book based on this this type of ology, I suppose. But the coming race was about Blavatsky's ideas about root and sub races.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Where we're talking about, so we'll go back here. And this is when she goes into the polar race, Hyperborean race, Lemurian race, Atlantean race, Aryan race, and of course he has these future races that are not yet named. But yeah, she deals off into that ideology that we didn't always have these forms where we once had ethereal bodies, gas bodies, and then basically like came into solid form. She gives that ideology. And it's funny because I also heard that same ideology when I was going through the book, Dr. York's book called, I can't think of the book called right now, but it's like his biggest, The Holy Tablets by Dr. York. He gives that same ideology. So it was also amazing to see that majority of what Dr. York and a lot of those brothers at that time were kicking on the obscure esoteric knowledge was purely just theosophical.
And as far as theosophy, it talks about the history of a pseudo religion. Are the scholars agreed on that?
Yeah, of course. Because pseudo as in, and for this, because you can't provide where all this stuff comes from. HP, she's given the understanding that the Bible and all of the religions on the planet, they have one root, that they come from one text, but not even her has proposed or given the name or the source for that one text. So then it falls in the realm of pseudo and pseudoism. Yeah.
Also, theosophy quickly mushroomed into a worldwide occult phenomena, and it also entered into the political arena. Who would you say opened the gateway for that to enter into American politics?
I've never heard of theosophy in American politics.
Oh, okay. Well, they definitely practice it in Hollywood and in these offices that they declared abandoned by melanated people.
Okay. Never heard of that. I never heard of that. I never heard of theosophy in politics. How would that fit into politics?
Well, it's been suggested that the Freemasons ushered it into the political arena.
And that's it. You know, that's great that you actually said that because now I can actually follow where you're going with it. Freemasons and theosophy are not one and the same, even though they have been conspirized through various sources, things of that nature, alongside Luciferianism and Satanism, to be all connected and intertwined. But we know that Masonry, at least the Freemasons that we see in, is coming out of Europe through what do we like to call them? What's the name? You have fraternal European orders and brotherhoods. So I don't think that HP could have been a Mason because the Masons are not women.
True, she wasn't a Mason, but it states that she was friends with the Carbonaro, I'm probably saying that wrong, but a probable Freemason, Giuseppe Mazzini, leader of the Revolutionary Organization of Young Italy. And um, Mazzini had proclaimed the existence of the Roman Republic in 1849, defended it against the French, and the French general at that time was a Freemason.
Mhm. But where does this tie into theosophy?
Blavatsky.
But you know, but theosophy is a teaching. It's an understanding. It's a doctrine. So when I'm asking how does it tie into theosophy, like what are the theosophical ideology and the theosophical ideals that we could pinpoint within these things?
Well, HPV in her platonic chum, Colonel Henry Steele Olcott,
Oh,
are
cool. Yeah,
yeah, they're the inventors of the Theosophical Society, which
absolutely.
includes a lot of Satanism, Luciferianism, demonology. You know, King James was infamous for printing that one out first before the Theosophical Society was even an invention. But yeah, they're completely tied into politics through their spiritual movement, and they can thank the Indian society that backed her up, because she had to go through some type of occult imprisonment.
Excuse me. Yeah, I apologize, but it like that may be fringe work because when we're dealing with HP, and I didn't want to overload you guys with like a autobiography style build. I wanted to give you more of the information, but HP comes from a she comes from a rich family. She comes from a family of what would we like to call it, nobles, right? And she was a very beautiful young lady as a youth. Like, you should look up the image, like she had beautiful eyes, things of that nature. Like, she was everything she was supposed to be, but she just took a darker route. So she gets what she had. Her early husbands were travelers. So she sets up in Egypt. She sets up in India. Like, she goes places as a youth first. She travels first. She even had her own court in Egypt first before she ever set up the Theosophical Society. Then, because she in her heart felt like the people who were part of her code in Egypt were scammers and liars, she like it was like she whistleblowed them, like she caught it, like she made a book on them, and then she came out to New York. Now she's this European coming out New York. She doesn't really have much at that point, and yeah, she groups up with these guys. Now, by the time that they make this move to India, this is not a I kind of gave it in the presentation as well, though. That this was a spiritual, symbolic move for them to go where they went, and it was for them to line up with their teachings, because, of course, that was a part of her gimmick for her to. A lot of those 18th century, 19th century guys, they didn't know nothing about Sanskrit. They didn't know nothing about chakras and all of that. So that was a part of her teaching that was exclusive over here. But to avoid that look of they just another cult, she put her people in the official place that the teachings was coming from. So they went off to India. This was a spiritual move. And there wasn't any demons, Satanism in theosophy. Now, the Lima, alias the Crowley, is, and we see that right here on the chart, on the chart. This is where we get our Satanism, the beast, and all of that talk from. But if you're going off to the far right, Annie Besant and C.W. Lee Beater, who take up theosophy after Blavatsky dies, they don't talk about demons. They don't talk about the devil. They talk about presenting a world leader, a Messiah who they believe was going to be. But I said all of this stuff in the joint. There was anything about Satanism, Luciferianism in connection with HP, best believe I would have came to y'all with the primaries. But that's a hoax. This woman was not a Satanist. This woman was not a Luciferian. No, she was not.
Okay. Well, it states among other activities, HPV worked as a circus bareback rider, assistant to the medium Daniel Douglas Home, directed the Siberian Royal Choir, owned an artificial flower factory, was a journalist, a short story writer, a piano teacher, and conducted seances in Cairo.
Yep, that's the Egypt part I was talking about as well. Yep.
Um,
You don't want to. What do you think about the black influence that we see in theosophy? You know,
the black influence,
well, not
I
black
think,
influence, but the theosophical influence on the black community.
well, that's because a lot of the blacks in that particular community are gods. Theo means God, right?
Yes, it's the Greek term for
And
God.
Negus means leader.
Negus,
Yeah.
uh, that I believe is the Negus was like a ruler.
Oh, ruler. Well, close enough. Um, it's just that the so-called black community has completely forgotten their roots. And theosophy is, according to certain anti-theosophists, they claimed it to be the science of the ego, or science is the something of the ego. I can't remember exactly word for word, but in short, that's a lot. That has a lot to do with this. I can't hardly say it. Theosoph, whatever that word is.
Theosophy and theosophical.
Theosophy. I'm not going to be able to remember that, but I just remember Theo has a lot to do with God. And
Mm.
you got theologians, you got historians, you have scholars, you have doctors and universities and all kinds of sources that or resources that can explain how this actually entered into religious thought, political thought, um, family thought. It's crept into every crevice of your day-to-day life, to the point where even you said it yourself. Why does your heaven threaten my freedom?
Mm. Right. Yes,
And that's
deep.
something very profound, because who told who told you that one day you're going to grow up and tell other men what to do in their house? Who teaches
Mm.
that?
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. But that's what we see, and that's how they perpetuate it. Man, yeah. So, let me see what we got here. Damn it. You familiar with these individuals like the Bobby Hemmets and the Brother Panics individuals? I dropped down in the in the build itself.
Um, I'm not really familiar with them in that sense. One of them kind of look like they practice. I mean, that looks like he practices Wudon. But that brotherhood has a lot to do with both the white man and the black man.
Why is
But
that?
Bobby Hemmett, have you ever seen Rosewood?
No,
Oh,
I've not seen Rosewood. I ain't seen Rosewood. Yeah, Bobby Hemmett. Pretty sure we're familiar with Malachi York, though. Yeah, Brother Z York. We went in on him, man, and his relation and his tie to that type of doctrine. What did you think about the Gandhi?
I was a little disturbed when I heard his great grand niece or whatever, they will sleep in the same bed, butt naked to test his purity.
Yeah, to test his self control.
What did you think about that? Because I was disturbed.
I was amazed to say the least, and disappointed all at the same time because for my first time ever hearing about Mahatma Gandhi, of course, was a youth Black History Month, and it was the reference that Martin Luther King referenced Mahatma Gandhi, you know, and he put him as a center point in the image and in the eye of the Black civil rights movement and the liberation movement. So to find out that he was a racist and he didn't even like people that look like me, and he thought that people that look like me were savages, and while he was giving that type of critique, he was sleeping with children. It's just like, damn. Um, then when you know better, you show better. And I believe if Dr. King was privy to this type of knowledge, maybe he would not have promoted this individual and put him like primary to his talking points that he was putting forward for us. Because once you have younger brothers like me later on, over 50 years later, doing my research to find out that the man that the ancestor Martin Luther King was big up in was a racist pedo is close to heartbreaking.
Don't you so would you agree that there is a some type of sick trend in these occults that target that type of situation between an adult and a child?
Absolutely. 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 Even when you have the quote unquote little my dig how he finds Krishnamurti. What it say here? Charles Webster Leadbeater, this old man, a proclaimer, a proclaimed aura reader and a clairvoyant, said he seen an extraordinary aura on a frail young boy on the beach. So this white man is on the beach, boy watching. I got a problem with that off bail, to be real with you, you know. And he sees this young Indian,
Absolutely.
he sees this young man, and he says, I'm gonna. I mean, basically kidnaps the fella. Now, I don't remember no part in my studies. I've watched documentaries on J. Krishnamurti. I've watched documentaries on the whole world leader experiment. Like when I was doing my research going into this, I don't remember nobody consulting his parents. It was damn near like him and his little brother was taken with him as well. It was not just him. They were taken into this society. Now, when you were talking about HP and what seemed almost like a prison initiation, that's more like Krishnamurti, where they were forcing this man into these initiations with his boy, and they grew him up in their care and fed him all of this stuff. Luckily, he was able to find a certain level of what's the word I'm looking for? Liberation, and books that he was able to be privy to, that he was able to free his mind from the theosophical chains that was wrapped around him, literally, from the day that Charles Webster Leadbeater laid eyes on this young boy on the beach.
Hmm. So, how do you feel about nobility having their favorites? Because that was a thing.
Nobility. I,
Yeah.
I won't speak to it because the reason I won't speak to things like favorites is because it's subjective. You know, it's extremely subjective. So I don't want to hang my hat on that. Um, and respectfully to you, to the questionnaires and question that's going on, let's I want to keep it theosophical and within the framework of the actual build itself.
Okay.
Because I presented a lot of stuff to the family. We can keep going. Man, what you think about this one? L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parson, the whole rocket, spaceship, all of that talk, and how that trickles into the society, the community, and easy you get all you, and this is the product of that.
Well, I stay in the space and rocket city, and nothing about what they got going on in the sky impresses me at all. Now, as far as Project Bluebeam, that's kind of interesting because they're using nature and their science, and they're tricking a whole lot of people into believing that there's certain faces in the sky and all this other stuff. As far as me personally, it's because I'm not supposed to be dismayed or in no type of awe or derision over what's going on in the sky, because it's not about me. As far as them trying to apply their science to this glass ceiling that they can't bust through because science said that there's a big wall of ice that's protecting us from outer space and all the elements and keeping the meteors out, and we got all kind of radiation beyond this ice and all this other stuff. So as far as a battle in the sky, like it must be somebody trying to get in, not necessarily getting out.
Right, right, right. I agree. I agree.
Is
It's
there scientific communities within all these different nations that are competing with each other? It has a lot to do with what the elites are willing to invest in and who they're willing to invest in.
mhm, mhm. Speaking about scientific elites, we also went over, Scientology, and just the man, it's just crazy, man. This build was really one of those because it's such an intriguing and deep part when you actually observe it. And you take a step back and you see how this develops. How you have this man, where'd he go? Jack Parson. He's officially in NASA. He's actually doing this stuff. He got the laboratory. He's getting funded, but he's a full blown occultist. Like he not just going out to space looking around like, oh man, that's Venus. That no, he out there with occultism on his mind, with telemetric magic on his mind. You know what I mean? So he's blending his ideas with his quote unquote spirituality with his scientific observation. This is deep because once he get with Elron, he just got it like put him on steroids. Because Elron, he's the author. He gonna write the stuff down. He gonna make it bigger. He's gonna bring this. He acted as a scribe. You see what it says? Elron acted as a scribe and a partner to these rituals. So you say it, anything that you conjure up, you manifest it. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna put the story behind it. I'm gonna make the people want to read this. That's the beginning of it. That's the beginning. It's little stuff. These books turn into movies. People that look like you, people that look like me, get hired to play the role in a ritualistic movie that came from a ritualistic book. So now you up there, I'm up there, brother up there, Damses Eves or somebody, melanated, doing the role for the bag. The whole time what's going on is you acting out these people, what they say, they collaborated on rituals known as Babylon working. That was a head buster. Sitting up looking at that and just the aftermath of such with individuals like the Holy Ghost in the realm messing around with who he's messing around with and how this trickles into the conscious community dealing with transformative magic. This is a real thing. This is a real thing, man. Like, damn, man. Damn.
What about the use of the blood sex magic attached to theosophy?
Never seen it in theosophy. Never seen blood sex magic in theosophy. Theosophy was not as hard as Luciferian, as Satanism, as thelematic. See, you thinking more about OTO, Golden Dawn. You know what I mean? So that's when you getting into Lesser Keys of Solomon and sex magic, Babylonian magic, and you know, these are these guys. These guys. Your Jack Parsons, your Aleister Crowleys, David Bowie's, Anton LaVey's. These gonna be these guys. They getting into that. See, this theosophical thing, man. This I'm not gonna say it was harmless because I don't know what happened after HP died, right? But I know that, and I won't say it was harmless because just as you even alluded to with the Project Blue Rod, we got things like this going on, which is mesmerism, and mesmerism evolves into hypnosis. So I definitely should have put in Siegfried and Roy in here as well, because they are the product of mesmerism. Because once Project Blue Beam, shit like that, excuse my language, are just evolutions of mesmerism. That's putting somebody in a hypnotic state, playing with the mind, making you think this, look at this while I repeat these words to you. That started off with Franz Mesmer. That was his thing. That evolved. But within the evolution, I'm going to add parts to this as well. This is a good conversation because I'm going to add to this build as well, because there's parts of that I left out, like the psychedelic drugs in theosophy, the psychedelic occult, where within these occult, in the cults and within the occult, they're taking the psychedelics, the LSDs, the PCPs, the peyotes, the mind altering drugs to quote unquote go into these different realms and talk to these different entities. This is a large and dangerous part of occultism. when it comes into this. So yeah, that's a part. That's a piece.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's a piece. That's a piece. So yeah, and this has been great. You know what I mean? This has been great. Is there any more questions you got? Let me see if there's anything I really think I want to hash on and touch on a little bit deeper. I think okay, there is actually these individuals: Saint Germain, Kutumi, El Moria. These became Saint Germain, especially Saint Germain, especially because he gets mentioned in so much occult rooms it don't make no sense. You get the European version of voodoo, they replace individuals like Papa Legba with Saint Germain. Like he's on let me see if I have a slide with them all. Okay, there they go. He's part of the Ascended Master list. You see that right there on the bottom right. The Ascended Masters. It's a new thing. And they and within this, these guys, they appear in so many places. If it's not like occult anime, you see them like in skit, like movie references. You see references to these guys. They're heavy when you go into the woke community. You hear a
Mm-hmm.
lot of references to Kuthumi, El Moria. Who else we got over here? Confucius. Um, Krishna. A lot of it is funny. Sanat Kumara. There's even Sunat Kumara quotes. And the funny part about those individuals, actually, I'm going to share my screen since I'm over here and we kicking it. How we kicking it, right? I'm let's have some fun with this thing. I'm gonna show you guys something. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unshare my screen, pull that down, and I'm gonna show various images real quick before I get off of here because I want to drill something home to the family. And it's surrounding the influence that we constantly keep getting beat over the head with. Example A. He put that on the screen for me. Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara. He's revered in and he's revered spiritual figure in theosophy and esoteric traditions, often identified as the Lord of the world or of the Ancient of Days. You'll see that he has that Jesus like style too, right? Let's go to another one. El Moria. It's gonna get deep. That's the one we seen in the build. Same Jesus style. El Moria, also known as Master M or the Mahatma Moria, is an essential figure in modern theosophical beliefs. And to see, this is Google search type stuff. Like theosophy is not just a small thing. This is big. Yeah, I mean, theosophical beliefs and ascended master teachings, regarded as the Kohan, the first ray of will, power, and protection. That's El Moria. Watch him. Same Jesus motif. This Jesus motif, man, they say like this ain't no new thing. This crazy. Jesus motif, Kudhumi. Who was Kudhumi? It's said to be one of the Mahatmas that inspired the founding of the Theosophical Society in 1875. It is believed that he engaged in correspondence with two English theosophists in India, A.P. Sennett and A.O. Humi. So this is Kudhumi, you know. And the reason I showed those images right there, just real quick before we got off the thing, was to just show like there ain't nothing new under the sun. All we see is a lot of this stuff is just getting wrapped up and rebranded, repackaged, new stamp on it. Sometimes it's a black stamp on it. So don't think to like I know a lot of times in this community we love to feel goodism, the blackity black, everything black, black extraterrestrials, um, or the ancient Sumerian deities was black people, and that's not a reality. That keeps on making us look pseudo, and we think that we are lining up with black ideology when it's truly European ideology, which is theosophical ideology. And and if you notice in the creation of those things, you didn't see nobody that looked like us in those creation and in the genesis of those things. So, family at home, just be aware of what you're doing. I'm not putting this stuff down. I'm not telling you to, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of the origin and be educated about what you're doing as well. With that, I'm done. If there's any further questions, I'll take them. But other than that, man, I thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, man. Okay. I say, man. Once again, shout out to the Ring of Fire, man. We doing it big, man. We doing it good. We did it great, man. Appreciate y'all for having me, man. I say.